Hey y'all. The other day I was asking my father-in-law to make a miniature baseball bat out of some wood that he had in his yard. He gave me this piece of wood, and typically what I would do is take this over to the table saw and cut off some of the edges, just to kind of make it a little bit easier for the lathe. Make it where you don't have to take down quite as much before you actually get it to where it's true and round. I got the feeling, and I didn't really like the thickness of it. I wanted something that had a little bit more meat to it. So what I have here is sapelli, and if you can see right there, it used to be a square, obviously, and then I took it over there and it was made with the corners off. I've already got it cut the length that'll fit my lathe, and I'm going to go ahead and take it over there and see about getting it true to round, and then see what I can make out of it. Let's see how it goes. All right, I've got this piece of stock in between centers. I've got my spur drive on, and I've got everything adjusted so far for me to be able to try and get this thing squared away. The kind of lathe that I have is called a Nova Comet 2 MIDI lathe. It's not the biggest or best out there by any means, but it's all I can afford. And so far it seems to do the work pretty well. I haven't gotten any kind of complaints with it, and the performance that I get out of here is so far everything that I need. However, if there's anybody out there that wants to go over there and buy a huge Powermatic for me, feel free. I'll send you my number and my address, and you can send me however much money you want to go toward that cause. Now, as always, if it turns out you're going to use a lathe or any other type of project like this, you need to make sure you wear the proper headgear and the proper safety gear. If you've never used a lathe before, one of the things you'll notice whenever you start turning the wood is the fact that whenever it's not round, it has what's called a shadowing effect. Over here you'll see where there's a little bit of a coloration whenever the wood starts turning faster versus here where it appears more solid. Right over here you can see where the wood's not true, and obviously it's a lot more rough. Whereas over here, that's what's already been turned. Now that I've got the piece round, what I'll end up doing now is defining the different areas where I want to try and section it off. I'll come probably about an inch or so, maybe 2 inches back from the end of the stock right here at the tail, and probably about the same distance over here by the headstock. I use a parting tool to kind of give myself a little bit of room to work. That way I can make the rounded over edges and also the tapering area back here for the handle. I've gone about as far as I'm going to go with actually using just simply a chisel on here. The next thing I'll do is go ahead and take it down with some sandpaper. I'll start off at probably about 240 grit and work my way up to where it has a really nice finish to it. Now that I've got it turned down where I want it to be, I'm going to go ahead and hit it with a tack cloth. Now a tack cloth is something that's just got a little bit of a sticky residue on it, typically over a piece of, almost like a woven piece of cotton in a sense. What it does is it takes a lot of the sawdust and extra particles and stuff off the workpiece, so that way you don't have any kind of problems later on whenever you try to apply any kind of a finish. It's always a good idea to try and rub these things down with a tack cloth or some other type of cleaning agent to make sure that you have a really clean workpiece before you try to put on your final stuff like a wax or any kind of a stain. Now that I had the piece all smoothed out and I've gotten the tack cloth out and taken all the sawdust and whatnot out of the grain, I like to hit it with something called finishing wax. Now the stuff that I use is Minwax paste finishing wax. To me, I think that it puts a nice shine to it. It's not too glossy, but at the same time it helps the natural beauty of the wood kind of stand out a little bit. I put the rotation of the lathe on a low speed and then progressively take it up as I start to buff it out. For the last step, what I'll do is I'll take this parting tool and I'll get it to a really small circumference right here when it comes down to what actually attaches the bat to the tailstock. And the same thing I'll do with the headstock over here. That way later on whenever I go to break it off, it'll be that much less that I have to worry about trying to sand it down. Now all I have to do is go ahead and take this piece off the head and the tail of the bat and then sand it down. There we go. Alright, I'm done sanding, done polishing. Overall, I like the way that these turn out. They've got a really good feel to them, a decent weight, and so far, everybody that's gotten one has really enjoyed it. Like I said, this one's from my father-in-law. He asked me to go ahead and make one for him, so I did. So, Ed, this one's for you. Back up just a hair. Back up just a hair. Or stand over there, one of the two.
Well, where's the camera at?
Right there.
Oh.